right, Sunday, we're going to have a very busy week ahead of us. We went and did some testing Friday night at Muncie on the big end. Took Alan's car out there and tried to get it kind of lined out a little bit. Moo-Moo's car, we got it lined out real good. We're hoping to go to Ohio Grudge Racing Uncaged on Saturday, and it's just a busy week at the shop. On my end, I know Sean was the same way. Neither of us had our rides quite ready. Like, I didn't have, the truck was still in the trailer from the week before, and we just kind of ran out of time to get there. And it really, Josh was right, the weather bug app was pretty damn good. It didn't miss, that's for sure. Even though rain was all around, it stayed away from there. And for us, we were just playing the odds, knowing that this week coming up was going to be a really busy week with Roadkill Nights and whatnot. And that means for us to do that, we have to do quite a few just little changes and just make sure things are ready to go for that race. Because Roadkill Nights is on the street, but it's also like kind of like a prepped street deal. So we go to radial tires. We're going to take weight out of the truck, obviously. We had to make sure all of our turn signals, which I don't even have any technically in here. I got the bulbs are hanging here now that I did a deal. So I had to make sure all the lights and stuff were good. So just got done with that. I have a cargo carrier that we used on Rocky Mountain Race Week. We'll throw that in the hitch, and that'll like allow me to be able to bring in I'll normally have my cooler in the back. We'll have fuel, a little generator, maybe some tools and stuff, anything we need. This thing needs some brake pads. I don't have a chute on the back, just that hitch. So trying to slow down any more from where we're at going mile an hour wise on the big end is starting to wear down the old brake pads. So I'm gonna put some new ones on it to make sure we can stop all right, because it was a little slow to stop at the last couple races. It took me till the end. I'm hoping to also get my hood back on. I kind of screwed up. I ordered some other Zeus rails, and buddy Joe here in town fixed this up, and it looks real nice. And we didn't repair the one side, so it ripped the Zeus rails out of the truck, aluminum fasteners, and we fixed this side and covered the holes in. I told him to leave the other side in. Well, I didn't really think about the fact that not everybody's Zeus rails are like the same spacing. So the Zeus rails I ordered, unfortunately, weren't the same spacing, and it's been like 3 weeks, and we've just been so busy between the shop and doing the racing thing on the weekends, I haven't even messed with it. It's been doing pretty good with no hood on it too, but I like having the hood. That makes the truck look finished. It also, when the old overflow catch cans there, America cans, when they start to get a little filled up, you know, they'll tend to push some like moisture and methanol oil water out of it. So it ends up all over the windshield, and that sucks. In all reality, what we got to do on this is pretty small compared to what we got to do on some other cars now this week. Unfortunately, last week, week before, whatever, Kenny was doing some racing down a bunker and launched the motor. It basically, I don't know if it floated a valve, but it ripped up one valve and one piston pretty good. So, you know, Kenny's already signed up for Roadkill. We all got a badass Airbnb together, and we want to make sure Kenny's there. So my spare motor that was in Brandon Dollar's car from Midwest Drags, he used it for like the second half of that. It was ready to go, and Brandon still had a little more testing to do. And I said, dude, go do whatever you have to do. It's not a big deal. You kind of can't hurt it. And he really, you know, you kind of can't hurt it, but you know, he had it on the dyno, and just things happen. It got loaded pretty hard, and it may have torched the heads out a little bit. So Brandon, he's busting his ass. He's such a great dude, and he's, you know, he doesn't have to make any of it right, but he's going out of his way. He's got another set of heads to put on the thing. We checked everything for the bottom end, and it looks mint. So, you know, we were hoping to have a motor like a couple days ago on Friday to put in Kenny's car this weekend, to have it ready to go. It looks like it's going to be probably tomorrow, Monday, before it gets here. Brandon will have it ready to go, though, and we're going to drop that in, I think, tomorrow night, Monday night or Tuesday. Try to put some miles on it, get an oil change out of it, and then it'll be ready to go for Roadkill. You know, that's the decent little project. There's still some work I got to do on Alan's car this week for him to make sure it's ready to go at the shop. And then the big one that we got to do is poor Moo yesterday at Uncaged. She did awesome. I mean, him and Alan both, they went ahead and took the risk and went over there, and they both did very, very well. I think Alan made it down to the final. I think both Moo and him went 2 rounds, made it down to 8 cars. Moo lost by a fender-ish or half a car maybe to Austin, and Alan did the same thing to CJ. He lost by half a car. CJ wheelied pretty hard, and Alan's car made the fastest pass it ever has on backtrack, and we've only made now maybe 4 or 5 passes, 6 passes maybe on that new combo, and have been just kind of taking it easy and sneaking up on it. Like, we can sit around and guess and just throw a bunch of power at it and it might hook and go, but at that point, if it does knock a tire off, we basically have no data to go to the next pass with. So we've been just taking a very easy approach and making sure that it's going to go down the track and that we got some data to keep improving on. Those chassis that are in those cars, the torque arm deal, I mean, they're a whole another creature. They're way different. They're like having a leaf spring compared to a 4-link. So they have all their little idiosyncrasies that make them work and not work, and they can get really touchy on a bad or like not a surface doesn't have any rubber at all, like a really green no backtrack kind of setup. So we've just been taking it easy on it so we get data and keep getting faster. Well, Moo made a fast pass again, probably one of his fastest he's ever made on backtrack, and right after the line, the car was bouncing a little bit into the track, and right at after the finish line, thankfully Austin's ahead of him, and Moo crossed, went right, smacked the wall a little bit, and wiped out kind of. So it tagged the front of the car on the driver's, let's see, front of the car on the passenger side, spun around, tagged the rear quarter on the driver's side. So it's a little ugly looking. Hopefully right now, from what Moose says, it's not too bad. Like, it's not as bad as it looks, but it looks kind of bad. So, you know, Moose again signed up. He's never done roadkill. He's looking very forward to it. We want him there. So, you know, I know Dylan's ready to go. I'm ready to go. Sean, we're all ready to do whatever it takes to help Moo get this thing back together. And I think it's definitely possible. Luckily, with, you know, obviously Moo can do a lot of fabrication stuff, and that's a lot of what it's going to take right now is probably some fab stuff. Sounds like it knocked one of the turbos off, tore up the turbo kit on the passenger side pretty good. Body work wise, it might not be that pretty coming out on the back side of that tail light and whatnot, because it cleaned it up, but we'll at least have a tail light for this weekend. And that's kind of a big deal for Roadkill Nights. You have to have, it's like a street legal thing. So when you have to drive there. So we have an Airbnb that's like 20 minutes away, and you have to drive. We'll have to drive from there down Woodward, which would be actually really badass, and into the Roadkill Nights cage. Basically, you're in this big cage of the staging lanes and the racetrack and stuff, and you have to drive it there, and everything you need for the day has to be there. So with you in the car or whatnot. So it's a really neat deal. It's something you don't always get to do. We've been very blessed that we've done it. Like, this will be like our 5th or 6th time we've done it since the start, and so very lucky to have done so many of them, but we still look so forward to it every time. And this is Moo's first, and I know he really is excited because I think his car will do well there this year. And we're hoping we're going to get, you know, I think we're bringing like 8 cars, and realistically 6 of them are very, very competitive. So there's 8 spots available when it comes down to the quick 8, and I think and hope and I believe that we can probably get those 6 of 8 spots. So yeah, I'll take you along this week as we get Kenny and Moo back together, and a little bit of work on this thing, but it ain't too bad. Luckily, it's going to keep going full steam ahead, and the rear end's holding up good for right now. We got another housing for it out back and just haven't had a chance to do it yet. So, welcome aboard the Shit Rodeo. All right, Kenny, what day is it? It's Tuesday. We have a few days till roadkill. Like, we got 4 days or something. It's Saturday. Brandon brought the motor back up to me yesterday, and we got all put together. So drug it up to Kenny's today so that we can get it thrown in old Slimer back there. Kenny kind of gave me the walk around his new place. Pretty badass. Right here, motor-wise, is 6-liter that was in my Camaro for quite a while, and it's a Weisco piston, Wagler rod deal, H-beam rod, super strong, some bitches, stock crank. Since the heads got melted down a little from when Brandon was on the dyno, they were Mike Duke ported 317s. These are some, I think they're Bischoff ported 243s, so we're gonna get a little more compression out of them, which is cool. It's got believe a BTR Stage 3 twin turb ski cam in it, even though we're only gonna have a single turbo. Kenny's got all his tools laid out. Let's check out his old motor that came out. We think it must have dropped a valve, or it didn't drop the valve, I should say. It must have floated a valve a little bit, and got a little injury going on right there. So that's not really too cool, but that's okay. This motor is very similar to what mine was. almost an identical kind of situation. We build them at the same time, but Kenny's got everything laid out. We're gonna start getting this thing back together so we can get it fired up, make sure we ain't no problems, and we can get ready to have some fun at Roadkill. So see if we can get this done tonight. Fire up. I think Matt's coming over and Tanner's coming over. All right, so I think with that whole crew, we'll make it happen. These old water pumps, and we've seen other guys with LS water pumps, this has happened too. You'd be shocked how little, so that cover there, yeah, it's JB welded on now. So Kenny made sure this wasn't gonna happen to this one. His other cover, that's a stamped steel piece. Oh, you got it? Okay. Yeah, tapped it back on. So this stamped steel piece just shockingly just sits in there. There's not even a gasket there. So when he pulled it apart, the actual cover was up, like you had a gap in there. So it was ready to push that off, and basically that sits up against the cover, this front timing cover, and there's enough space there, it can totally push out. And there's guys that have, you know, Scott Sheehart's one of them that's, you know, pushed off that cover and then had a bad day. And, you know, that's happened there. And you can see this thing, I mean, look at those. There's not been any real coolant pressure in this thing at all. It's not a bad idea to glue that thing in or check it out so it can't push out on you. All right, we're gonna swap out the timing cover real quick. Mine had a oil drain on it for my Camaro, so it was kind of close to his balancer. I've always ran a truck balancer. Kenny runs a, like not F body, would be, I guess it is F body, like early 4th gen offset, so it's way closer. So we're gonna swap that out. One thing I just wanted to show you why we got the timing cover off. People freak out when they see these timing chains, and they, like, people that are new to it, they always are like, what is going on? Look how loose that. Everybody's like, oh my God, we're gonna die. Dude, they're meant. And now they say that, it's probably gonna break in half or something on us first pull, but that's pretty normal stuff. On this block's actually drilled for it right there and there. There's a plastic dampener piece they put in there sometimes. I don't have it in there, didn't have one, didn't use one, so we're gonna put some RTV in the corners, put that other cover back on, and we should be in good shape to drop it in that thing. Kenny, it's almost time, buddy. Me and Kenny used to party like this for like every weekend. Remember that? Mondays? We used to, there's still some Facebook memories, but yeah, we used to blow this shit up every weekend or tear up something, maybe sometimes all the cars. And this is what we would do during the week, so we go racing again the next week. Kenny is definitely one of my favorite people to work with. I like working with Kenny. We kind of get along on stuff. I think
somehow.
We've done it a lot. We got a lot of practice, but we've got everything changed over. It looks like she's all ready to go in. It's been a little bit of a battle. Kenny bought some new mounts. The old ones are a little beat up, but I can't show you because we had to put them back on. These ones, it has to be this length. It's like the length from the back of this to this whole center, and then the angle looks a little bit different, but with the old ones, we can't get a damn thing in there. So we put or with the new ones, we can't get them in there. Put the old ones back in. I think we're going to be just fine again. Like, one thing with this car, especially if the motor mounts aren't right where they need to be, the whole turbo kit doesn't fit because the turbo is hard mounted to the chassis. So instead of trying to make these work and taking a chance on where they go, we just put the old ones back in. We're hoping they can live for a little while longer, the rest of the year at least, right, Kenny?
Yep.
And then I'm sure he'll swap them out come winter time or something. So yeah, we're almost there. We're making progress, Kenny. She's almost in there. All we got's intake stuff. Drape some wiring over. Put a little oil in her, a little water, and it's party time, right? It's gonna run perfect, and it's going to basically win Roadkill Nights. We're gonna be in like a 7-way tie for all of us, so that's all that matters. Well, we just got done putting it together. Matt and Tanner came over and helped out. Fired up. We had to change it to 24X from 58. Kenny's old motor was 58, so swapped it over, fired it up. Now she's good to go. Oh no, we're leaking. Is it leaking or just burning shit off? All right, so last night we got Kenny's car running. It seems like it's gonna work pretty good. The thing's just crazy. It still has 60 pounds of oil pressure after all the passes it's had on it, all the boosts it's seen, and been in and out of a bunch of cars, and it still seems to work pretty good. So today at the shop, Alan had brought his car up, kind of the typical weekly thing, you know, before racing. Alan normally has us go through stuff. Alex helped out, and we got a bunch of things done on it, including a horn that has quite the sound to it. So then now back here, trying to get this thing ready for Roadkill. Luckily I didn't have a big list of stuff to do, just a lot of little things, and one of the things is some brake pads. So I have these nice Willwood brakes on this beast that we got on the show, and the cool thing is basically because of the same style of rotor and caliper. I guess the caliper is the big thing. They are the same exact pads. So the front and rear all have the same pads, which is nice, because then if you have a set of pads that you can carry spares of, it'll go on the front and the rear. So it did have just the stock pads. I'm gonna try these ones out. They cost more. I think they're supposed to be a little bit better. We'll see. It's been without a parachute on this thing, and starting to go fast enough now where pushing on the brakes, it's starting to, I think it's eating them up a little bit. And I have a chute that Bumper gave me. I kind of need all the rest of the stuff to go with it, and try to get that on here soon. But until then, swap some pads out, and I think that'll get us hopefully through the rest of the year. Let's see here. I'm going to show you how these things come apart. All right, they're super easy. So move my finger out of there. Super easy. All we got to do is we got to get some separation there, right? So to push the piston back in, so just take a screwdriver, walk that back. See that piston back there is going. Get on this side, walk that back, walk that one back, no problem. We'll go to the other side now. We'll do the same kind of thing. And we'll try to miss it and make it flip out and crack me in the head or some stupid shit. Then this guy right here, straighten him out some. Not very good camera work. Okay. This little cotter pin will come out. Normally easier if you don't have to hold the camera in your hand while doing it. Let's see here. Alright, hold on, I gotta put this down. Bam! Cotter key's out. So, at that point, throw him there. These things just slide out. You don't even have to take the calipers off, which is cool. Slide them out, he's good. So, you can see, yeah, they're pretty even, I guess. There's shims that you can put in there that are supposed to help even out the sides. So, maybe I'm not quite Half-Life, I guess, but I think anything new is not going to be a bad thing right now. Got the brakes on. We got the radials on. Really excited because we haven't had radials on this thing like ever, basically. We ain't had big radials on it. We've had the little radials, the 2685s when we went out to Rocky Mountain last year, but we haven't had a 275 on it. She looks pretty good with that little 275 radial on it. I think we'll be able to go pretty fast. We'll see what happens out there. Roadkill's like a surface that we really haven't been on at all this year. Like, obviously, since we haven't been on radials, that's totally different. But it's a road. It's asphalt. It's kind of good up front, and then so like up front, it's probably like a 42 or something, driveway 42, where it's pretty smooth. Takes rubber a little bit, but then as soon as you get off of that, it's like Muncie type asphalt where it's a little more porous. But they do drag, so they spray it and drag the thing all day. So during the day, it just pretty much makes it greasy. But by the time you get to the quick 8, when it gets dark, it actually gets pretty good and can go pretty fast. So you can't, you don't trailer your car into this deal. You can't even, bring a trailer. We couldn't bring our drag week trailers on the back of this. So what you can do, and it's a gray area, I guess, is you can actually use the little cargo carrier. Let's see. like this. So if you got a hitch, like I got, and we used this thing on Rocky Mountain last year, and I think we even used it at this event last year also, but you can have a little carrier, and like, so we're going to treat it very much like drag week, where we're going to, you know, we have to have everything with us. When you leave at 7 in the morning, to go there, you basically have to have everything with you. You have your one passenger, and you have yourself, and you have all your stuff, and that's what you have for the rest of the day. And you know, you get there at 7 a.m. and if everything goes right, we're not done racing until 8 or 9 at night. So like, this is very much like a day on drag week where you go racing and you have to be able to pack everything you want and need with you. So, you know, we got cooler, we got tools, we got fuel, jack, another thing, battery charger. So like, this is a 14-volt deal. We're have 14 volts. I mean, most of the dudes in our crew do. So, you know, at least one of us might have had a battery charger otherwise, but it's just some of those things to think about if you do this kind of event. Well, I think we're all done here. The week's been a pretty busy one. We got Kenny's up and running. New motor, new old motor ready to go. Truck's ready. We got Alan all dialed in. Because another thing, you have to have, like, so this has to be street legal. Like, I was always pretty much there because we did drag week. But you got to have turn signals, headlights, taillights. It's got to have a rear view mirror. It has to have a horn. It has to have license insurance. I think I already said that. So yeah, it's got to have all the stuff to be street legal. It has to be on a DOT tire. So whether it's a radial, DOT radial, or it has to be like a DOT slick, same thing. Front tires got to be DOT. So they're trying to make it like a street car, street race type of deal. They have small tire, big tire, and we have 6 or 7 in small tire. And you basically freaking test all day. You get up to 4. I mean, depends on what happens. But last year we got 4 passes, and before that, in the years before, we've got only 2 or sometimes 3. So you get so many shots maybe at the track, and what they do is they take the best 8 ETs of the day, and those guys race in a shootout, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, and so on. And then it just goes onto a ladder, and then that's how it plays out. So you kind of got to go in there right off the bat and get something that goes down pretty good, so that you have at least something on the board that's good and hopefully better than everybody else in the field. There's probably 100 cars in small tire. So then after you get that safe one, then we can start really kind of getting after it. And then as the evening goes on, and if we get a break and make that last pass, and maybe it cools down a little bit, then you can kind of really pick it up at the end. But otherwise, early is almost better because we start about 11 before it gets greasy, hopefully. But yeah, everybody's ready to go. Sean obviously always has his shit right. Travis is ready to go. Dylan's been waiting around all week. So yeah, we're gonna go in there with the whole ton of cars, and let's see if we can get it done. All right, Thursday night we made it up here to our Airbnb. It's quite the hectic scene when this happens, because you know, you got a neighborhood. That's nice and quiet probably most of the time. And then next thing you know, 3 rigs full of a bunch of junk race cars pull up and make a lot of noise while they try to unload their shit. Let's go see how Dylan's doing. Dylan, how you doing, bud?
Oh, we made it.
Yeah. Hey, no tire changes. The welder didn't have to come out. It's been a pretty good trip so far.
Short trip, that's why there's no tire changes.
Yeah, good. Well, even though that short trip through Detroit was about as shitty as it gets.
Oh, that roads were terrible.
Yeah, yeah. So since you told your dad about that door, let's see how it buffed out. Oh yeah, dude, you can't even tell it's there.
Yeah, don't
Looks
tell him that.
We're getting unloaded, and then we take our trucks and trailers up to Borg Warner. Our buddy Randy Ford lets us keep him there where he works. It's nice, secure. TJ, are we happy? Woohoo! So, and then we'll come back. We got a pool out back. We'll relax and get ready for tomorrow's registration and car show tomorrow night.